So, Lone Rider here with the Star Ledger Local. And this is the Thursday, July 19th issue. And I just want to throw something out there. How would you feel if you were a golfer and somebody said that they were sponsoring a program to pay people to buy their golf clubs off them for the express purpose of destroying them so that nobody could have golf clubs anymore? You wouldn't think too highly of that, would you? No? Okay, so how about if you were a cyclist, and you heard that somebody was buying up bikes just so they could destroy them? That would kind of suck, right? Okay, so if you're a shooter and you hear that somebody's buying up guns just to destroy them, what would you think of it? I mean, that is the basic premise behind gun buybacks, right? Yeah. And here we have another one. This is in the Essex County Blurb. And they're basically saying they want to get guns off the streets. Well, of course, we know that most of the people who turn in firearms to gun buyback programs aren't gangsters turning in weapons. I mean, if you thought they were, you would have undercover police staked out at the gun buyback to take those particular individuals into custody. Because the real problem isn't the particular weapon. They could always get another weapon. The problem is that that person is a person who hurts people, right? Yeah, so... now, and you look at who does turn in guns, it's old guns, it's obsolete guns, it's somebody who got left a gun by their parents or, whatever. And some of them are actually collectibles. Some of them are antiques. Some of them are, very few of these guns are weapons that are, being actively used in crimes. Although I guess if you were a really clever criminal, you could turn in something and hope that it gets melted down before the police realize what it is. And then, well, there you go. They just destroyed your evidence. But generally speaking, this is people turning in older, obsolete guns, and they're not getting a fair market value for them. You get, like $100 for a gun that, maybe it's worth $800. Now, of course, you could get $800 by selling it to a gun shop or to another, gun owner who wants to buy it. Or you could get far less than it's actually worth, but get the emotional satisfaction of destroying that item, that awful, evil thing. Yeah. And this is as ridiculous as it sounds, but people think it's doing something productive. In this case, the article says, if you would like to see less violence and fewer guns on the streets, the Essex County Bar Association wants you to put your money where your mouth is. The group is working with the Essex County prosecutor to launch an unusual gun buyback event that needs community members from residents to businesses. Oh, I'm sorry, it says from residents to businesses and corporations to provide the money that will buy the weapons. Attorney Matthew Adams, who is spearheading the association's efforts, is hoping donors will raise $100,000. They expect officials to dole out to everyone who turns in weapons at no questions asked event. So, it's bad enough. They're, taking, items out of circulation and destroying them. That collectible gun that might be worth something, might be a piece of history. That, that gun that somebody could, shoot recreationally for fun and learn firearm safety with. That gun that somebody might keep as a tool to defend themselves or their family. No, let's just destroy it because it makes us feel good inside. You know what? Why don't they buy the guns back and then distribute them to poor people who can't afford a gun and can't otherwise defend themselves because they live in bad neighborhoods and they need a gun for self-defense? Did you ever think of that? No? Nope. Our goal is to destroy guns. And, if you're familiar with the term iconoclast, nowadays it just means somebody who does something different, somebody who goes their own way, somebody who smashes icons, metaphorically speaking. But originally an iconoclast was a protester that went around bashing statues. And the whole idea was they were showing their belief by destroying objects. Gun buybacks are like modern day iconoclasty. They don't accomplish anything except for destroying some pretty valuable, cool stuff. But they let people show how good and pure they are. I call bullshit on this, okay? I really do. This is ridiculous. I can't believe we're still doing this. When you have somebody here like, quote, acting Essex County Prosecutor Robert D. Lorino, who says, quote, "It helps everyone," unquote. How does it help anyone? I mean, if somebody was buying up fishing rods to break them and destroy them so that there'd be less fishing rods out there, does that help anyone? Well, I guess if they destroy enough of them, it might drive up the market prices. So it might help the people selling them. But realistically, a single event or even a series of events held year round isn't going to do that. And all you're really doing is you're removing those particular items from circulation. The only people this really helps is, immature and uneducated and grandstanding individuals who want to feel good about themselves and show everybody how down they are with the gun control movement. And as somebody who's a shooter, I mean, I do archery, I have shotguns, I enjoy them. I shoot archery more regularly because it's, a lot less expensive, a lot more accessible. But, I mean, I just got my hands on a 1970s Browning Browning Safari recurve bow. This thing is not in the greatest of shape, but I love it because it's old and it's got a lot of history and it's kind of neat, right? What if somebody had been going around buying up recurve bows and destroying them? I would never have gotten a chance to get my hands on that. Now, I could have gotten a recurve bow. I could have bought a new one from a shop. This was one that had a little bit of history and it was just something neat. It's a shame to see that kind of thing destroyed. Like I said, if they want to do something to protect people, why don't they buy up the guns and then distribute them to deserving people who, let's say, pass a background check, who can't otherwise afford one? People who might need a gun for self-defense. You live in a bad neighborhood or something, right? Nope. We want to buy guns and destroy them. It's not going to protect anybody, but it'll make us feel good. Oh, and we want your money to do it. Donate your money. I guess you get like a tax write-off or something. People say a lot of bad stuff about lawyers, and, it's become almost a cliche. But if this is the Essex County Bar Association's take on it, they're part of the problem. They're not part of the solution. This isn't just window dressing. I mean, they're actively glorifying in the fact that they're destroying, stuff. I mean, I can think of, totalitarian regimes that burn books, for example. I can think of, Fahrenheit 451, where they, burned poems. I can think of just common vandals who take joy in smashing windows and defacing paintings. Um, you know, seriously, right? They're they're not helping people. They're not getting weapons off the street. They just hate guns, and this is an excuse to, hey, let's stomp some guns, man. Show how down we are with gun control. And I think it's sad and a little bit disgusting. And I don't know why anybody would donate to this. And I think it's kind of disingenuous that the newspaper. I mean, I know this Star Ledger generally has a left of center view, but I mean, they start out the article with the line, quote, "If you would like to see less violence and fewer guns on the streets, the Essex County Bar Association wants you to put your money where your mouth is," unquote. Again, the people who turn these things in aren't on the streets using them to do violence. If they were, you would have undercover cops there to arrest them when they went to turn the guns in. You wouldn't have a no questions asked program. I mean, unless you literally are convinced that it's the presence of guns that's the problem and not the fact that criminals are misusing them. I don't think even these people are that dense, okay? I don't think they're that obtuse. I think they know what they're doing. And the question is, do the people who are touting it, maybe the newspaper's that dense. I mean, this article reads like a straight up press release. There's no other side. There's nobody questioning. Maybe they could do something better with this money. Maybe instead of destroying these guns, again, distribute them to people who need them to defend themselves and can't afford them. Maybe you should go through and pick out any rare or collectible ones and send them to museums. I mean, no, we got to destroy guns because we hate guns. And as a shooter, and as somebody who, I take umbrage to that the same way as a cyclist I would take umbrage to people buying up bicycles just to smash them with sledgehammers, okay? this is, like I said, this is sad. This is pointless, and um, these people just come across as a bunch of jerks, you know, who want to get off on smashing stuff. So there you go. The Essex County Bar Association is basically like a bunch of common vandals. That's their seems to be their emotional motivation here. So sad. This is what gun control's come to. They're not even pretending. I mean, they're talking about it as if it's about stopping violence, but they're not even pretending that it's about crime and stuff anymore. It's just let's take a gun and let's symbolically destroy it, like we're some latter day iconoclast or vandal. So sad, you know. And think about all those, like vintage 1911s or maybe some like cool old gun from the 1800s or even a modern firearm, a Glock or a Sig, something neat, maybe a little old Ruger 22, and you're just going to give people maybe a tenth of what it's worth and then melt it down. Shame on them. All right. Now, if it's their money, people give them the money. They're free to do whatever they want with it. But it's disingenuous to tell people this has anything to do with violence, that it has anything, in fact, to do with anything at all, except just strutting your stuff and showing how proud you are of gun control. Which, like I said, since they're doing that by just destroying useful items and sporting equipment and weapons of self-defense, they just kind of come across as a bunch of jerks. Again, it's like if somebody bought up a bunch of extremely rare vintage Colnago racing bikes just so they could run them over with a bulldozer. I mean, I guess if you hated bikes, that'd be, something you'd enjoy doing. But does it have any larger significance beyond, feeding your irrational dislike of those items? No. All you're doing is feeding your neurosis. And they want people to pay for it. So if you're foolish enough to buy into that, send them your money. What I'd like to see instead is, these type of things stop. Or if they're going to be, reporting on them, at least report on them. Don't just shout the party line. This article looks like it was written by the organizers of the gun buyback program. Very sad. Went right around.